Around with that, and I wanted to make sure the cast and crew was gender neutral as well, so it was like 50-50, and I was really adamant with that from the outset for the set, and I think it comes through on the film as well.
Fully agree. And I love, what I love is that the balance of the masculine and feminine throughout the entire, from the get-go, and I think that's as you explained, that's something you were aiming to do, and you did that very well. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. First thing I said was the colours, the tones of the entire film was just really magnificent.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Gorgeous.
And this one I wanted to ask you about location, and it shot Barry Island?
Resurrection, yes. Shot in Barry Island. Infamous for being there. You just knew Barry. You've been there before. And on the first day that we shot, we did a recce of the place we were gonna the second half of the film, because there was initial first part as well which didn't make the cut because it didn't really connect. But yeah, Pierre just was already connected with Barry, and it was nice. And when we did a recce, it was just like, definitely we're coming back here tomorrow, fully kitted up, and we're going forward. And then, as I said, for Rise, Oxley's Woods, I was just in search. I was thinking, I'm going to Babylon Dun. I need to find out where these woods are. And Oxley's Woods was one of the ones that popped up, which is where you see Andrew predominantly within the film.
T, I wanted to kind of go back to these the thematics we were left off with the sort of Marxist film. I'm just thinking of, like, Andre, your performance is great. Because it's very kind of like, I'm enjoying the fact that you know, like, less is more, and you're just letting that character kind of come to life. And again, there's that thing about the assumptions we make in relationships and love. And what I like about all three films is they're coming from very different stylistic approaches. You know, T, like, what I've always liked about your films, that, you know, it's a classic narrative style of filmmaking, you know, and then where Marcus is at, it's a slightly different pace, a slightly different sense of visuals. But what I really like is, you know, just thinking about, I mean, I'm still kind of blown away the amount of time you had to get that kind of intimacy in that relationship, and also kind of give us this sense that time has passed. So I wanted to ask you about kind of, you know, editing approach, really, because I think your style of editing and stories telling is very sort of classical Hollywood narrative style. So, you know, how long was the editing process?
I think from an editing perspective, it was supposed to be a couple of days. I got lazy. Like, after day 2, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. Right? But realistically, it was supposed to be 2 days, and I think the reason why we were able to do it so quickly is when, I actually don't think I sent you the script when I reached out to you, did I? I didn't even have the script written. Again, this really goes down to a way you shouldn't do filmmaking. You know, you shouldn't right? Like, we were just vibing throughout the whole thing. Called them, hey, I've got this idea. Yeah, this is the story. I didn't even have it on paper. I was making up as I was going along. Wrote the script, send it over to him. I don't even think I checked. I think there's a couple of times where I got the names wrong in it, something like that. You called me out, right? And from there onwards, it was, I think what I was trying to do when I was writing the script, right, I was really trying to write to the personalities that I know of Andre, you know, one of them ones, and think, okay, yeah, this could be him, you know, one of them ones, if the guy was actually in love, right? I don't remember the question. I kind of just went off.
No, it's fine. It's about process.
From an editing perspective. Yeah. So with the editing, what we've done is that week that we were actually putting the story together, we done a full shot list, like literally shot for shot what I had in mind for the film. So everything that you see had on a piece of paper, and we used like I think it's a Mylanode, I think it is, which kind of syncs to your phone and stuff like that. So every single thing, including the lenses that we're using, all the locations, if we're using tripods, stabilizers, and we kind of had to take into consideration, like, we had a lot more different locations, But the second day that we were filming, we realised, hey, there's football matches going on all around Birmingham, so it's just rush hour. We need to think of our feet. We're not going to use the stabiliser. Let's just go with the tripod, right? So all of these things were written up on a piece of paper. I think we had a crazy amount of documents in it, Chris, right? And it was just like, hey, we got this shot. Let's get this one, you know, and then let's get this one. So the edit was literally getting made as we were filming. And once we got into the studio, it was literally just putting it together, right? And it was just kind of following the script from there onwards, which is why we could do an edit in 2 days. And I think with the music side of things, I had something on there, showed it to my partner, and she literally looked at me. She goes, "You got an eye for visuals, but you ain't got an ear for music." And I literally had to change it last minute. And it was just, hey, what do you think of this? And she goes, yeah, this works, so let's go with this one. And she kind of helped out on that. And with the rest of the team, to be fair, I don't think any of them actually seen the edit. They've just seen the teaser. Nobody has actually watched the film, so this is the first place it's getting screened at. So yeah, to be fair, I couldn't have done it without the crew, without the cast. Even on the day we were filming, I'd literally tell the actors, listen, this is you, you know, one of them ones. You've got an idea for this character, you do it your way. If the script don't make sense or it's not words that you would use, as long as the context is the same, do what you got to do, right? So they had that total freedom, which is why we could do 33 scenes in less than 2 days, realistically speaking.
It's quite wild, right? But it's really revealing the sense of like craft, and when you feel confident of your craft, you're able to take more risks, right? And if you're confident with the people that you're collaborating with, you've built those relationships, you can be so much more flexible, and more opportunities arise, right? There's something else important there that you said.
I think, if you don't mind, I think what really, because out of the 3 short films, this was the one with the most scenes, but it wasn't the most complicated one. Like me and Chris actually, when we say a skeleton crew, me and him left to Cumbria to film. The plan was, the whole script was supposed to be like a sunny day and stuff like that. But I remember as soon as we got over the mountain, it was just foggy, right? And it seemed like, yo, we can't do this script. So every single scene that we were doing, we had to change stuff around. It was like, let's change this. And I would definitely say that was the most complicated script that we've done. But visually, beautiful.
So really quickly, the shoot took how long?
Well, 2 days.
And the edit took?
Well, it should have taken 2 days, but it took a couple of weeks. And that's due to work and stuff like that, yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's one of the most important kind of revelations, is that everyone has a different process, and it's about being flexible to kind of adapt to the situation, and, which is why I'm really pleased we were able to actually watch the film. So glad we were able to do that. Yeah, thank you, T. And one of the things I always like talking to you about is process, because I know how meticulous you are when it comes to a shoot. Yeah, I mean, I'm very aware of time, so I'm going to kind of like launch into the last few questions, and if we have more time, we'll be able to go into things a bit deeper. But some light-hearted questions at the end. So, yeah, first one it is, and it's a thematic one, which is, you know, what kinds of themes and topics do you naturally gravitate towards?
I love, if I had to take myself personally, I love dystopian stuff, futuristic stuff, fantasy type of stuff, but at the same time it's been very realistic in the sense of the budgets that we're working with, what are we capable of doing, where can we travel to, you know, one of them ones. And then, so the next step for me there, I think, will definitely be drama. One of the reasons why that is, a lot of people really undermine how complicated it is to shoot a drama. You've got to get every single thing perfect. Whereas with an action, it's just, hey, listen, I've got a gun here, let me run. You know, one of them ones, like. Right? Whereas with the drama, though, you really got to get every single thing right, and it's definitely teamwork. And at the same time, as a director's role, it's now your responsibility. Like, we constantly hear, oh yeah, director, you got to be strict, you got to be strict. But at the same time, you need to create an environment where every single person is having a great time. Because if you start messing up the whole environment, your actors ain't going to perform to the fullest, your crew's going to get pissed at you, nobody want to work with you, and your career is done before you even started, right? So, important, man. Yeah, sorry, I drifted off again.
No, not at all. It's the importance of collaborative.
Yeah, like that's a really important thing. And again, environmental collaborations and just trust. So yeah, my thing, again, dystopian space, which I don't know what that has got to do with anything I was saying.
It's to do with the themes you gravitate towards.
Yeah. So I do
like
definitely
in an ideal
gravitate
world,
towards
what
that.
would
Yeah.
you know?
Like for me personally, I really love Zack Snyder. Like I know a lot of people kind of feel very 50-50 about him. But I think as a director DOP, since that's the route I'm kind of taking, and a lot of my professional stuff that I do is either DOP and directing, this kind of really gave me an opportunity to do both of them together, right? Be really hands-on, where I can work with my crew, but at the same time, I'm working with my cast as well. So yeah, definitely pressure. I definitely say we felt a lot of pressure with these 3 projects, but it was worth it. Like it really felt easy. All of us had a great time, and yeah, all of us would do it again, like in a heartbeat.
Onismo, thematically, in an ideal world, what are the kind of stories you're drawn to?
First and foremost, always been experimental, as much as I can possibly stay within that nuanced realm of experimenting, and that's me. Since you said director, then I immediately just started running towards kind of the Christopher Nolan stuff, just because I've just dived in depth in terms of just like dissecting from the beginning all the way up to where we are now in terms of Tenet. And the same as Wachowski, brothers and sisters. But I've just always loved experimenting and creating something, as I said earlier on, something I've never created before. If you watch any of my work, you will see that you won't find 2 things that are the same. Generally, just because it's the way that I feel during that moment in time, and who I'm working with at the time as well, in terms of whether it's artistry or my friends and family at the time. Now I really want to, I think, take that level of experimentation into the realms of more spirituality in terms of genre. I don't know whatever that looks like inside of everyone's minds, but that's what I would also say for right now too.
Cool, thank you. Marcus, where are you at? What kind of things are you drawn to?
Yeah, I usually struggle and have a problem a bit with fantasy films than sci-fi, because I quite often find real life which is way more bizarre. Like you just can't write half the things that happen in life. So yeah, I'm drawn to stories that we can sort of all relate to a bit more and all can resonate with and be like, oh yeah, I've experienced that. Oh yeah, I felt that. So that's what I gravitate more towards.
I was just thinking along the lines of what T had said. Is there anything at the moment currently that a favourite film or something that you've watched recently that's sort of drawn?
Yeah, I really like what Jordan Peele's doing at the moment. Yeah, really refreshing. Just seeing, people of colour just in different scenarios, not always in a struggle, not always having to fight. Just making a bloody sandwich or just, just joyful and living life. So yeah, I'm really liking that. And I love the Coen brothers. I think the Coen brothers are probably my all-time favourite directors. Big Lebowski is like my favourite film of all time. So yeah, that's some examples.
Yeah, I love Big Lebowski as well.
Yeah,
it's great.
So good.
Dude.
I did want to add on documentary. It's another one I was thinking of. There's the director for They Live.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. He was describing They Live, and he said it's a documentary. And then I found another kind of, it was an article talking about, it's talking about Matrix, the first ever Matrix, and it said that's a documentary, really and truly, if you dive in deep inside of it. And just a quick story, going to university, I used to love music videos, films, and I went for my interview and I showed him all the work on my music video, and he said, documentary film's the one for you. I looked at him, I was like, you're wild. So I was like, all right, I'll listen to you from now. And I went through documentary television. Did a year. At that moment in time, I still needed to kind of grow, so I was still immature and it wasn't right for me, so I left. And throughout my journey and the way I've done my experimental films, I've just drifted towards documentary, and that person was right in terms of documentary film, but my documentary tends to be that experimentation in terms of what you've just said.
Yeah, story and narrative.
The story of life.
Absolutely.
It's just
Bizarre, isn't it? This is all bizarre.
Fully years. Imagine a film of this very moment. Wow.
I mean, this is the thing that I think links the three of you together as storytellers, and the irony of it is kind of like, you could look at Tee's film and think like traditional melodrama, but actually there's melodrama in all three films. It's just very different approaches to translating the stories that you want to tell on screen. Final question, and I always ask this question, because I do think it's really important, and everybody has a different take on it. But for the three of you, just very briefly, why is representation in front of and behind the camera important to you? Tee?
I think as someone that's worked in the industry for a bit now, I'm starting to realise that a lot of the professional spaces, there's not enough of us on there, and I think I don't even know. I think it's just, yeah, we just need the opportunity. I feel like we're constantly working 10 times harder than everyone else, one of them ones, and we're constantly getting judged even more. And I think that's the main important thing, just for us to get behind that camera, right? And for our stories to be told more, again, as my brother said here, just to be normal stories. Like, I feel like we're constantly getting portrayed as people of trauma, right? And our stories are just constantly stories of agony and pain. And I think I enjoy watching stuff where we're just the normal person, right? And if it's a comedy, I don't want to be the first person that dies, or someone that looks like me just being the first one that gets shredded. Normal stories, and I think with the times that we're in right now, with the opportunities that we're in, and I know like a lot of these organisations, all they're putting out is just constant workshops, which doesn't really do anything for us. I think what you guys are doing is amazing in the sense of you're actually giving people to showcase their projects, right? And kind of connecting people from different cities and making sure that there is a community, a broader community, and it's not just a London thing or just a Birmingham thing or a Bristol thing. So you guys are definitely the right thing, and I think the rest of it is down to us as filmmakers, actors, and to take opportunities to create more content. I know sometimes it's easy to get someone that's British and say, hey, listen, you're a great talent, be in front of the camera, but at the same time take that risk with maybe newer talent that's coming up. They might not have that experience, but again, it's down to you as a director to get the best out of them. Like, as long as you believe you got the skill, give it to them, and they won't disappoint you. So yeah, it comes down to us giving people the opportunities. I think we shouldn't rely on all of these other organisations. We need to start making a platform for ourselves.
Representation, the moment you said that, I just thought about activating of the neurons, of seeing something. When you're able to see it, you can see that it's something that's attainable. If we never see it, we don't think we can attain it. What Tee just said then, in terms of that representation, on screen, you're able to see we can do that, regardless where you're from, who you are. So the right people, or all people who have those certain ideas, if they're given the allowance and the space to be able to do so, then that activates those neurons within inside of our brains, and we're able to see that we can attain to that. And I see that as whatever, in terms of whatever kind of extraordinary imaginative your mindset may be. You wanted to be an actor, you wanted to be a creator, a cinematographer, whatever it may be, a colorist. So I think it's just that it's vital the more that we do it, so then that can be seen that it can be done. Because if we never see it, we're never going to think that it can be done. Only until you see or read about it, know about someone who has completed and achieved it, then you know you can do so. And we can proceed to inspire as much as we possibly can do, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, I've been acting since I was a teenager, and this is the first time I've gone behind the camera to direct something. And yeah, I used to get really frustrated as a teenage actor and sort of a young actor of colour, constantly going for auditions and roles where I was the drug dealer, I was a hoodie, I was the best mate of the main character, not the main character, and it took all the love out of acting for me. I fell out of love of acting because of that. Always having to sound like I'm from Brixton or South London, like, you know, I'm from South Bristol, like, I pronounce my R's, a bit like that, like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. So what can I do about that? Get behind the camera, make my own movies, and give other people the opportunity where they can be more themselves and not feel they have to fit a stereotype. So that's why representation is important.
More time we would deep dive, but I think that's basically a wrap. I wanted to add to that as well, which was like, I mean, I started out as an actor. I was part of like Kenneth Branagh's youth Shakespeare company, and actually same experience. It got to a certain point where I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. The bullying, the racism of the time. I mean, I'm 45, so that was a very, very different time. There's change, but these stories still keep cropping up, and I know that Gary's objective behind this, and certainly my motivation to be a part of this, is to break down these different walls, whether it's class barriers or gender, race. Things have to change, and that's hopefully what these conversations are about. And really quickly, incredible films, and thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to the guys here.